afternoon, Mrs. Chiazo Iyama. First, I want to thank you so much for the opportunity to have you on this interview. I know it's such a very busy time of the day, but we are grateful that you could spare at least a few 30 to 45 minutes for us to have this conversation. Thank you so much. So I want to start by getting to know you first. Could you please introduce yourself? Tell us your name, where you work, your professional background, just a little bit of information. I think it's better to introduce yourself so you give us the full details of who you are. So can we meet you, Mrs. Chiazo?
Thank you, Celine. Thank you for the privilege to be at this forum. My name is Chiazo Iyama, Mrs. Chiazo Iyama. Professional, I'm a mother of three. I'll talk about myself. I'm married to one man and I'm a mother of three. And professionally, my background is law. I'm a graduate of law, and I have other qualifications in law. I have a master's degree. I have international diploma certifications in law in different aspects of law. I was actually called to the Nigerian Bar in 2003. I became a fellow of the International Bar Association in 2008. Then after that, I later qualified as a chartered secretary in 2014. Yeah, so that's just a brief intro about myself.
Okay, you forgot details on where you work and your current job.
Oh, okay. Today, I work with Total Energies, EP Nigeria. I work in the legal department as a senior legal counsel, and I've been working in that position for about 1 year. But before then, I've actually been here in this environment for a couple of years, initially as legal counsel, then senior legal counsel.
Okay, wow, interesting. Okay, so let's go straight to the gist of this interaction. Tell us a little bit about qualification. Like, why did you decide to be a chartered secretary? Tell us a little bit about what happened before you got to a point where you started the ICSAN journey. Tell us why ICSAN?
Yeah, the question why ICSAN? Yes, ICSAN, because I am someone who likes to be the best at everything that I set out to do. Even though I'm a lawyer my background is law, but I have always wanted to be at the peak of any career path I choose. And corporate law is actually my area of interest. And I actually discovered that through all my quest to get all the certifications, if I wanted to get to the peak of where I was looking at myself, I would want to be a company secretary. And at that time, I was actually looking at maybe company secretary of a public limited company. And I looked at what I needed to get there, and I had to charter as a secretary to be able to get there. So even as a student, I had covered all the subjects that were of interest to me. Even after 5 international bar diplomas, fellow of the International Bar Association, it was still very important for me to qualify because the world is growing. Corporate governance is very important in every corporate institution today. And it won't just suffice to say that I have been in an environment, so I need to move. So it was clear to me that I needed to get the certification to be able to get to where I'm going. So I made inquiries. Initially, at the time when I made those inquiries, it's the qualification courses to become a chartered secretary were those organized in the UK. And at that time, it wasn't readily available. And as a young lawyer career, like I hadn't gone in the career, the finances were a bit of an issue. But along the line, because I kept pushing and getting information to keep myself updated, I eventually realized that ICSAN in Nigeria, that's the Nigerian branch, was actually recognized internationally, and that I could actually write these exams locally and qualify, particularly since I wanted to provide services within Nigeria. So I set out with the courses. I registered and I started the journey. And the journey is, it's, for me, we should always look at the light at the end of the tunnel, because I started out and I started with the corporate governance, the company secretaryship. Those were good walkovers. I did the corporate administration, and then I had to do corporate financial management. Oh my God. With all my law background, with where I'm coming from, I didn't think I would have to get to a level where I had to memorize formulas and put them in my head. I actually thought, this corporate financial management, are they missing something? Shouldn't we just read theory and answer the questions? But then the reality was, you need to do it. I need to understand it. If you're going to work on, endorse your signature to financial statements of companies as company secretary, you need to know what you're doing. You can't afford to wallow in ignorance. So I needed to do that. And I'm very grateful I had the privilege to do that, to do the course, the opportunity to do it, because it gave a lot of exposure. At the time I was doing this, I was already acting in capacity of a corporate secretary, to certain clients, several corporate entities. I had to provide advice, and I used to endorse my signatures to their financial statements without thinking of the implications. I hardly understood, particularly when I saw the numbers. But, during the corporate financial management course, actually, it was, enlightening. It exposed me to a lot. And, as you move on, I was working, had my family, I had a lot to contend with at the same time doing this course. And it would surprise you, but my first attempt wasn't very good. I didn't make it the first attempt. I didn't pass. And I remember that at that time, we had a lecturer, Mudiaga. He was the one taking the classes. And I had said to him that, look, Mudiaga, this is not for me. Please, let me go and do the things that I know how to do best. Let's leave this one now. And he wouldn't hear of it. He encouraged me. He said, you're very busy. You do a lot of things. You're always here or there. Maybe if you give more time to this, I trust that you're able to do it. And more of, okay, let me not disappoint him. I decided to give it another try. But this time, I looked at it like something that I could accomplish, a task I could accomplish. If it's a course to qualify me for what I want, I might as well pass it. And I put in what I could put in. And surprisingly, when the results came out, I had a merit. Surprisingly, someone who says she's a lawyer and she doesn't do figures. So, it's all about determination, looking at the end product, looking at that light at the end of the tunnel, and you sure will get there. So I am very happy because after I qualified, I saw that really this was my ticket, greater opportunities. Great opportunities. And I'm grateful I did that.
Oh, wow. Such an interesting story. Thank you. I mean, this goes a long way to encourage a lot of people because, particularly corporate financial management, I know people that have given up on it just because of CFM. So to think that you did the second attempt and you passed with a merit, it is impressive, honestly. I commend you for that very wonderful turnaround.
Thank you. For everyone who listens to this, I actually think that you don't give up on things. Stay there, push on, and you get to where you're going. The determination is actually what takes you there.
Sure. I agree. Totally agree. On a little bit to your early career as a chartered secretary. So how did you, although you've mentioned that you have sort of been involved in chartered secretary for After you became a chartered secretary, what did you do to position yourself to get a head start as a qualified chartered secretary? Tell us a little bit about your early career days post-qualification.
Okay, post-qualification, I understood that beyond qualification, there was a certification for you to become a chartered secretary, to practice in a capacity of a private chartered secretary. Okay, so I checked out what I had to do to get there, and I did the application, and I eventually got that. But the first few things I did, having been equipped and qualified, I felt much more equipped than ever. And I was more courageous this time. At the time I was working in a law firm, I had a conversation and I said to them, beyond legal practice, I think we should set up a company secretarial practice. I think we should register a corporate entity with which we are going to do this. That way, we will be exhibiting a special kind of expertise, which is not legal practice. Okay, and fortunately, the persons I worked with at the law firm, the partners, they understood clearly and they gave me the challenge. So I set up a company secretarial entity for them, and I was in charge of that. Now, when I looked through the profile of all the corporate entities the firm provided services to, I felt that, look, it's time to sell them. So you have to sell what you can afford to do for them to them. We have to sell the corporate governance thing. We have to sell the secretarial thing. We have to let them know the benefits. And at this time, you have to use your initiatives at the same time. I didn't want, if they were going to, it was going to come under the legal services retainer they already had, then I hadn't achieved anything. So setting up that entity was a forum to be able to sell what you could have better done, the little challenges that you have in your company, how you can set things straight, how we can help you monitor the compliance with these things. So by the time I sold that, yes, not every client was willing to budge, because for some of them, they felt, oh, you're just trying to market an avenue to get additional funds. But for some of them, we practically started with very minimum charge outs. But at the time, when they saw that, when you're properly guided and you're doing things right in accordance with the regulations that govern your industry, the corporate governance regulations and all, that it saved them a lot of challenges and problems, because there's a limit to what you can actually do, and they were more informed. So they became to, as time progressed, you could see that they appreciated the effort, they appreciated the new strategies, the new setups, the new governance principles of the board, and at some point, they could hardly sit in their board capacities without seeking guidance from the company secretary, from that company, which at the time I took charge of. So it gave me a lot of exposure. There were new things to be done. There were clients willing to know what they could do better than they did before. So for anyone who's starting off, it's not easy, but you have to sell what you have. You have to be able to, take some things at minimum rates so that you can showcase what you have. And when you showcase what you have and you exhibit lots of firmness, discipline, and integrity, some people would not work with you because they want to circumvent things, but the ones who would stay will bring you more. And over time, consistency, you would watch yourself grow from one level to another.
So much for that feedback. If I hear you correctly, it's all about taking initiative and selling the value you have to offer, basically.
Exactly.
That's always having its teething problems, but with time, as you keep consistent selling the value you have to offer, your clientele base will definitely improve. Thank you. I think this is valuable word for everyone who is starting out and is still struggling with finding their feet as secretary. So you've spoken so much about the best things you've experienced, opportunities, exposure. I know that as professionals, there are areas that I be, and we need to definitely draw along the line as a professional. There may be some things you experienced that are challenges or where as a chartered. What were those challenges and how were you able to sort of get around solving those challenges as a chartered secretary?
Yes, for everything you do, you have to meet challenges. Your ability to surpass those challenges makes the unique you. So I wouldn't say that I don't meet challenges, okay? For me, the key challenge that I had to deal with some clients is the fact that maybe because of the society we find ourselves in, people don't believe in procedures. People don't believe in guidelines. People don't believe in governance. People are naturally arbitrary, and everyone wants to maximize profit. So initially, they don't understand the value you want to bring in. You're going to meet people who listen to you and they can't put value to what you have said to them. Sometimes they instruct you to do some work for them, and then you go beyond that to tell them that this is the way you should follow. Follow this path so that you can do things in the regular way. These are the laws that govern this industry. These are the procedures that should be taken to ensure appropriate governance in your corporate entity and all. And they don't understand what you are doing. They look at you as though you're some form of auditor who wants to come in and audit what they are doing. They don't see the value attached to what you want to do. So sometimes you lose. Sometimes you lose. Sometimes even when you have put in your best, you lose. But then there are times you also win. Because I'll tell you, for some of them who don't see the value you have to add, most times they get into the storm and they come back for you. They come back for you because they understand at that point in time, they know, oh, there is this lady, there is this person who has spoken so much about this. Perhaps she can help us to remedy the situation. Oh, the regulatory authorities, they're asking questions. They're looking into our books. They're doing this. What do we do? But if you didn't bother to sell a market and if you didn't bother to sell your skills and you didn't insist and try, they won't have you in their memory to come back to. So sometimes it's really challenging when you see that, look, I could have guided this, I could have averted this could have happened this way. And at this point, you're the one seeking to try to do the impossible to remedy it. Those are some of the challenges. You lose and you win. Then sometimes too, you have provided all the services as a young practitioner. You know what you have invested in yourself, your time, funds. You have done the work properly. And you present your invoice and they're reluctant to pay. What do? Do you keep working for them? Do you keep working and hoping and working for nothing? At some point, for me, every worker deserves their wages. And if as a young practitioner, you're not paid your wages, how can you grow? How can you do better? So for some of these clients, whilst they owe, you may have to do things like, you do lunch, you do something at your own cost. Now, what are you trying to do? You're trying to explain to them that, look, the world is evolving. I could make a better you and you could make a better me. You could synergize. I provide these services, you pay me my wages. With the wages, I can equip myself better. I can take better courses. I can upgrade myself. I can buy more technology equipment to service you better so that it's a two-way traffic. You can help out with this. For some of them, You may have to break your payment into tranches, little tranches, but allow it to trickle in. Because even though I have left private practice, I have relationships that I built that still come. They give you a call. They want to hear from you, irrespective of who you have recommended to them, because of the foundation you built, because of the integrity you set in place at that time. It's challenging. Sometimes you look back and you're like, what have I even achieved? Just keep up with it. Keep up with it. But don't waive those charge outs. Keep it there as debts owed. And over time, you certainly will get them. And once they have confidence in you, the way is clear for you. You'll be amazed.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is so much value you've shared. This is so valuable. So grateful. You've mentioned the relationship building, which a lot of us actually, because then when it comes to professionalism, we tend to focus more on our work, actually taking time to build relationships outside what we do with our clients. Now, what I want to ask is, as regards a balance, because you see, our work involves quite a lot. How do you find time? This is a personal question. How do you find time to balance work-life balance per se? But how do you find time to balance work and your life, even maintaining relationships with clients? What are the practical things you do, basically? That's what we want to hear. Give us some tips on how we can sort of have a balanced life and not be so consumed with work and chartered secretary.
For me, I would be very honest here. You know, sometimes when people say work-life balance, like, can you balance? Can you really balance? You have to, there is need for you to do everything, do it all at some point, and you also have to take care of yourself. So how do you get this balance? So really, I'm not a fan of work-life balance, but ultimately, I think that there is so much to be done. Do the best you can, as much as you can, and keep going as long as you're happy and healthy. But having said that, it's also important, even as we are professionals, work, we want to grow, want to make profit. It's also very important that you build a social life. And I'll tell you, the best way to build relationships, beyond the strong faces and the professional faces we put when we transact with our clients, your clients really, you can build relationships with them. I'll give you an example. I have a client, I used to have a client, we're still in touch. The person is a foreigner. I found out over time that this client, the only way you penetrated this client was when you asked about his family. And so the first thing I come when I say hello, 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 I try to remember the name of his daughter. And I always ask after his daughter. How is she doing? Oh, she's fine. She's, you know, it eases the air. And at some point, the person begins to see you as their own. And anytime you have an invite to a social function from your client, try and attend it. It gives them, it makes you have a sense of belonging where they are. You will find out that when you have created good and bonding relationship with your clients, it becomes very easy. If the client has to schedule a board meeting and you have to attend, and you say, oh, I wish this meeting could be next week. Have you considered fixing it for next week? I actually have to go to my daughter's school if they're visiting me on Saturday. And I don't know how I'm going to do this. Because you have built a relationship, it's very easy for the client to say, oh, well, we haven't even sent out notice of meeting. We are still trying to pick a date. So why don't we walk around this date, walk around that? That way, I have been able to be a mother and at the same time, a good professional. Then again, we have to learn to manage our time and to listen to our bodies, because ultimately, if you fall sick, your clients will go elsewhere. If you fall sick, your family will suffer. If you fall sick, you will watch yourself not do the things you love to do because you're struggling with your health. So for me, ultimately, whatever you do, put your health there, have some form of social life. for some of us, someone like me, I'm very religious. You know, I'm a Christian, and for me, God is ultimate. God is first in my life. Okay. So in everything, I also create room for that. I have to, you know, that's one area where I'm not willing to compromise. Okay. So I have to create room for that. I am also a mother. I have a family. I have children. I have to create room for them. So I'm not going to put all that on the altar of being a good career woman, because if any part of your life is lacking, you can't be happy, no matter how successful you are with your career. So for me, a little of everything works. Just be the best you can. I don't know if you would ever balance out work, life. I don't know if you will balance, but be the best you can. A little bit of everything and you'll be fine.
Thank you so much. Thank you. If I hear you correctly, there isn't a balance. Are constantly juggling it like oranges. So you have to know what to prioritize and know how to ensure that none of these areas of our lives are attention. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. I have two final questions to ask. They are similar, but I'll just roll them up in one, and that will be a final question. One of them is, I know having gone so far as a professional, some things you probably look back in hindsight and said, oh, probably I should have done this better, or I wish I'd known this. Possibly, let me put it, what career advice would you give to your younger self? What career advice? So looking back the years.
Looking back.
Looking back, what do you think you could have done better, or what would you advise your younger? Then the second ambit of the question is, there are a lot of budding young professionals who are looking at you, that all of all you've said. What would you say to them? Because some of them are still struggling. Corporate governance is being the thing for me. How do I navigate? A word of encourage people who are new in the path. Let them understand that they're the right path. Basically, just inspire young budding professionals, and then speak to your younger self.
Okay, maybe I'll start with what would I have done better as a younger professional? I guess I would have been more ambitious. Now, when I talk of ambition, I would have started to write certification courses, not for self-development, okay? Because the world is moving. Things are changing. The career path I met, the young professionals of today have to struggle with, because things have changed, advancements. For the struggling young professionals, you need to find something. You need to do something beyond what everybody is doing. What is your turnaround time? When your clients give you instructions, do you go to bed and revert in a week's time? Have you considered the way you package your work? Don't write like every other person writes. Don't do things the way every other person does. Try and be a bit more innovative. If you're going to organize a board meeting and they're looking up to you, what do you do before the board meeting? Have you considered, some people will say for me, it's being innovative and effective, okay? For a young professional of today, I would advise you to invest in technology. Invest in a good tablet or a laptop. If you were to be at a board meeting, ordinarily, the average person will want to write notes and later on produce the resolutions for signing. You can do something better. Type the minutes as the meeting goes on. Summarize it, draw out the resolutions. Keep templates on your tablet. When you attend the meeting and you represent the key points at the meeting, and you go to the next page and prepare the draft resolution. And as the meeting is coming to an end, You say to them that I'm circulating the draft minutes for you all to confirm that we have everything covered in. Then when we have edited it, when I go back to my office, I'll finalize it and send to everybody. But I need you to confirm that the key points are right. I'm telling you, if it is in an environment here where no one has done that, particularly if they are foreign clients or a very serious company, they would be impressed because they're probably used to, we're waiting for the lawyer. And when you go home, you prepare the resolution because you already have the content and you forward it to them that this is the resolution from the meeting, the key points. Try to impress your clients. When you have impressed your clients, if you're under pressure in another situation, they will understand you because you have set a good point rolling. Before you attend meetings, please read. Make sure that you have it at the tips of your finger. If you're attending these meetings, when a client invites you to a meeting, please say to the client, what are we looking at discussing at this meeting? Don't just go. What are we looking at discussing at this meeting? He gives you hints. If you don't have the information, browse it. Okay? Put it in your mind. Then think of the possible challenges they could meet at this meeting. When they find out that you have a lot of information for them, at some point, they won't sign a document without consulting you. And at that point in time, you have them on your palm. That is the opportunity you have to now charge a good fee. Okay, so you have a lot of work to do on yourself. Even if it is your phone you have and you are at the meeting and you do not understand something that they have said, privately, just do a brief check on Google. Get a little information about it. But I must warn you, don't ever speculate the position. Give them a hint and say, yes, this exists, or they ask about the legislation, or they ask about some governance rule. Say, yes, that used to be the position, but I'll confirm and revert to you. Please do not make representations of things you're unsure of. That is the fastest way to lose your clients. That's one. Invest in yourself. When you go for meetings, please wear your Christmas clothes. Dress, when I say Christmas clothes, I don't mean you should go and wear flashy colors. Dress like a professional. Give it your beat, give it your best. Know something about the client you're going to pitch. Know something about their business. Don't just go empty. Know something about them. Surprise them with the information you have about them. When you see courses online, you see information online, try and build a library from all the information you have there. Know things about CBN rules, know things about taxation policies, anything you know that will come in handy to the corporate world. Read it up and know it. Whatever corporate governance rules you know about, read it up and know it. Information is key in this profession because what do we have to sell? It's information. What do we have to sell is guidance. If you get it wrong, they don't forgive you. So you would rather tell them that you will come back than try to create an impression and give the wrong information. Please always do that. And you'll find yourself growing over time. Then when you see, please try and attend professional programs. ICSAN has lots of it. ICSAN has lots of programs all through the year. As much as you can afford to attend, listen to their programs, listen. Knowledge is power. The more you know, the better professional you will turn out to be. As a younger professional, I would have loved to explore so much more, but I still thank God for how far I have come up. But I think that the younger ones can do better. The younger ones, do not limit yourself. You can explore. There's a difference now. There's some kind of change now with the institution in the UK. They are no longer ICSAN. There's a way they have modified. Try and update yourself. Know what you can know. Sometimes You might be privileged to have an international client who wants to know, who has invested in a Nigerian company and wants to be guided. Do not leave room for lapses. Do it and do it with passion. And over time, you will make progress. Thank you.
Much.